Hi, my name is Sandra, also known as Ebony Empress. Today on Hidden Gems, I have a conversation with Farrah Idris, who is a therapist, a trainer, and a leader. So welcome, Farrah.
Oh, thank you, Sandra, for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to see your beautiful face after a very, very long time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while. So really interesting. We both started off public sector and supporting customers and clients. And I think people who sort of go into that work, they either find themselves falling into it or you have a real kind of connection in wanting to support people. And I think that's always been sort of like the common thread for me. And it's just had different variations. So for example, when I came and we met each other, I had just finished a law degree because as I was growing up and I was really interested in law and justice and all of these things, and I thought that's what I'm going to kind of go and do. And then I started doing my degree and I rapidly found that what I thought it was going to be and what it did turn out to be, I was going to have less of a affinity for it, let's say. And then in my third year, my mum had passed away. She had died quite young. And so I found myself in this kind of threshold of needing to come back home. And also, but I did complete my degree and sort of having some caring responsibilities. So that's kind of what happened. And so I started working locally, I worked in a job centre. I really sort of like cut my teeth on supporting women who were survivors of domestic violence. So doing a lot of frontline work, so not unlike yourself, doing frontline work, supporting people who are quite vulnerable and people in tricky situations. And I found that I could sort of like use a bit of my law background, plus a bit of advocacy, plus coming from an immigrant background, where I think many of us have had the experience of wearing lots of hats at quite a young age. I was talking a lot about holistic therapeutic interventions to support people anyway. So what can you do to increase your confidence, your motivation, to really just, you're in this position of either feeling vulnerable or being on the cusp of a change. And what does that look like, especially when you're having to maybe do something quite different from what your family expectation is or what even your own expectation is. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I got to then be a therapist.
Oh, that is an amazing story, and really sorry for your loss. I lost my dad just a couple of years ago, so I know how it feels to lose a parent, especially when you're thinking that our parents will last forever. It is a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I love that you started in the public sector, like I did, and you decided to take that change, to take that leap of faith into something different. I think sometimes we get stuck, don't we?
Yeah.
In this is a job I do, this is a job I've always done. I don't think I can do anything else.
Yeah.
But it's great that when something happens that's pretty tragic, and that sounds like it was, losing both your parents in a short space of time, that it gave you that opportunity to think about, you know, what you really want. What is it that I'm really here for, and what value do I want to add to people out there? Not that work in public sector does not add value. It definitely does, but it's a different way of adding value, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's about, I think, inner satisfaction of taking your skill set and looking at your skill set and kind of going, what can I do that gives me inner satisfaction and feels nurturing and supportive, but also sort of like ticks off things like creativity. I mean, you know, in our jobs, you can try and be as creative as possible when you're doing public sector, but it's quite narrow, isn't it? It's quite, you know, by law or by requirements and all sorts of things. And if you do feel like you have an inner creativity of some kind, sometimes it's, and you know, that's not being fed through a hobby, say, for example, it can be then quite tricky to know that all parts of you need to be satisfied. And I think you talk really well about leadership and what does leadership look like. But I think if you can start listening to yourself about your own leadership within your own life, that might be a nugget to start from. The trajectory in an organization might be like, oh, I gain these skills and I go for the next job and I go for the next promotion. It's quite hierarchical in a lot of organizations, and it's quite clear cut the path because there's someone who's trod it before you or who would advise you. But when you're trying to do that for your own life, and there maybe isn't a role model as such within your own family. Like there was no one doing therapies in my family, and everyone was like, when are you going to get a proper job? You know, like, you have this hobby, love. And you're like, no, because there was just a sense of like, the more they were saying like, go on, just be an adult. And I was feeling, actually, no, I've stumbled on something, but I don't know exactly what that looks like. And I think, I don't know if I was called brave or that was just me being stubborn, but I think, you know, being the leader in your own life is kind of listening to your voice, really.
So true. So true. That is an awesome point. I think people think about leading others, but they don't think that actually leadership starts with me. Really, me knowing what I want, me knowing where I'm going next, me knowing what it is, you know, I want to bring to this world, because we are here for such a short time. But what is it that we want to bring in this time? Is it about someone else's leading? Is it about what my parents want for me? Or even what I think looks good because when I look at careers, but what is it that works for me? I think that's really important to get to. And as well, can I make a living? For what I love.
Yeah, for sure, because I think like sometimes you're doing the right thing, like you were saying, for others, because you might have a family, you've got young children. And I think especially for women, and I know it's not just about women, but just, you know, as women, that we are so conditioned to be the caretaker and think of ourselves last. Even if you don't have children, there might be the wider family, you're caretaking your neighbours. It's that dog whistle, you know, and it's kind of like, oh, automatically I can do that. And the school structure and the work structure all sort of like play a part of that. And so that's to stand back and kind of go, okay, I know this is not really what I want. I'm not quite sure what I want. What does that look like? So I think a little bit of experimentation, because sometimes I get this question, you know, someone who might have been in a career for a long time, a clinician or whoever, or a teacher, and they're saying, look, I'm on this threshold, but I'm not sure what I want. And it is a bit of experimentation, you know, maybe it is, what did you enjoy doing as a child? Or, you know, just reacquainting yourself with certain people again and certain connections. And I think you will know innately when that thing lands on you.
Yes.
You either have got a childhood ambition that, you know, you wanted to act or you wanted to paint, and you've known that. But for those of us who didn't really know, you hit on something like yourself, you know, you're doing this, and it's a kind of like, you get so much inner pleasure and satisfaction. And what I really appreciate about this conversation that we're having, it's not the usual people that you see in leadership. and by that I mean is that I think to show diverse range of people, and people who don't always get the spotlight, by that I mean like they're your neighbor, they're your mother, you're your sister, you're a role model to everyone in your family. So if you can start taking that little bit of ownership about yourself, there'll be someone going, wow, like the role model isn't on social media, is this person who's treading a path that they're unfamiliar with. And that gives me a bit of sense of hope and maybe bravery that I could try something. So do look for training that resonates with you, and just be, you know, take what you have learned in your own careers, so elements that are transferable about the professionalism, about being present, and, you know, great people skills that people acquire, especially when you're working customer service sort of frontline stuff. And then somehow I kind of amalgamated. So those things I didn't compromise on: getting good level of education, getting some training, volunteering, because I didn't know anyone in the industry, I didn't know anywhere how to start. And I did think a little bit like, how long can I feasibly do this for? It's very physical, doing body work, massage, holistic therapies.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. My next question is probably going to be a bit of a flow from that. So you got the qualifications, you made the investment. How was it when you actually were doing the business, especially given that we're coming to the end? I don't know if we've finished lockdown, if we've finished this whole COVID thing, but we have been through the COVID season for the last couple of years. You know, how was that period for you in your business?
Yeah, so what had happened was I was doing sort of like several jobs, if you like. So I was teaching part-time, I was working in a hospice as a clinical lead part-time, and I was doing some private work. So I had some bread and butter money, if you like, because working for yourself completely, it is a bit feast or famine sometimes, and it does take a while to build up the time, if you like, to kind of show up and go, look, actually we're here, and you know, it's important. I think that was really important for me, like that diversity. I want to be able to see someone who looks like myself or is a colleague with similar experiences and kind of go, actually I can signpost you to someone who's going to give you that really good service or support.
Well, I love that you kind of survived the lockdown.
Yeah.
And I love also that you're thinking about the training and developing, because I think as we continue in our careers, one of the great things is to be able to hand back the baton to those people coming behind us. You know, it's great to get you what you need, but also there'll be people out there who could also benefit from taking a similar route. I wanted to ask you about your social life, because, you know, I went to, you know, real life happens behind all of this leadership, doesn't it? Like whatever happens, we are still social beings, and we still have to have relationships. So how's it been? Like, you know, I don't know. I haven't even checked. Are you married? Are you single? Or whatever's going on?
So I'm married. So I've been married 10 years. So that was before lockdown. No children, but some cats, and I have nephews and nieces. And so social life is, I feel like I'm really fortunate. I have a partner who is really, really supportive. And I think I couldn't have made some of those changes without someone just saying, kind of go for it. And even if he doesn't get it, like sometimes he's like, what are you doing now? I'm now training in sort of like an acupuncture. He's like, I'm like, can I borrow your ears, please, to put some needles in? And he's like, oh, you know, what are you doing now? But I think find your mirrors in life.
Yes, I think I went to Jamaica for my birthday in February.
Oh, happy birthday.
It was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. It was like, I need this, I've got to do this, I've been putting it off. But in the end, I decided, look, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go sun myself, see my mom's, because she was home then. Spend, you know, a couple of weeks with my daughter and just sun, see, and chillax. And it actually did work for me. It actually gave me so much energy. It gave me a chance to think about what I wanted to do next. Think about, you know, the steps I want to take. Even this project was really birthed on the beach.
I love that. That's the book title. You've got a copyright that, Birthing on the Beach. But I think, like, the more that I read, because I'm involved in sort of like health and well-being, you know, we hear about sleep, about books about resting and sleeping and all of this sort of stuff. And I am training myself to be less left brain, because there is a part of me that likes processes and all of that sort of stuff. I love it, you know, but actually the right brain, which is about relaxation, about trust, about surrender, about getting to know yourself, your inner interior. You know, these sound like really big phrases, but that's what I try and train people. So I've been doing some staff well-being stuff, and really, you know, lockdown all of has had everyone really frazzled. And so a lot of the practical sessions, they're really practical sessions, no PowerPoint presentation, but it is getting people to go back into that right side of the brain that we had as a child. So when people say, like, I don't know where to start, imagination, I don't know how to imagine, that's okay. We can, you know, whether that's through mindfulness or walking or being on the beach, where you are actually kind of letting things come to you. It sounds really maybe woo-woo, but I think, you know, like, if you try, what have you got to lose? It's not going to cost you anything, is it? You know, just to be able to train yourself, it's not going to cost you anything. You're not going to spend money on a huge coach, and then you've got something to go to your coach with and go, actually, you know what, I birthed this on a beach or in a bath or on the bus, and you can help me do the nuts and bolts of it. I think that's where a coach comes in, don't they?
Yes.
They help to give the tangible to the intangible. And even to a young person, I say that because, you know, life isn't stagnant, and our vitality it's not chronological. It's the vitality that you want to keep generating. Some of my favorite people to be around and spend some time with are like 80s and their 90s, but they have like this youthfulness of spirit, because I think they've always they've always maintained it or reconnected with it. And you get to, I don't know if you feel as well, Sandra, you get to a place in life where you just think, like, just don't care anymore. But in a good way, the things that you thought were perhaps like you needed to care about, they may be less so, you know, having that impact. And there's other things that fill you up. Do stuff that fills you up, because there's enough angst out there.
And what you find is the simple things are the best. And you're not trying too hard. You're not trying to impress people too much. Actually, you know, you've seen it a lot. That's where I am. I've seen a lot. But I think I'm just happy where I am, happy with me. And if I can get up in the morning and I can still smile and I have a good day.
And you have the best smile. You have the best smile, the best laugh. Always, even in the office, I could hear you down the end of the I'll never forget that.
I know. I mean, anybody who knew me in the workplace, I was probably one of the noisy people. I haven't changed being noisy.
You were joyous. I don't think you were noisy. You were joyous in a room that was, everyone was so a bit odd and a bit, you know, it was such a mixed bunch, you know. And you, I think you've always been that beacon. You know, I was actually talking to my husband today before I did this interview, and I said I always remember Sandra always being so smiley, and I think there was some light in you that I just thought, that's the person, you know, honestly in a building that it could suck the life out of you. You know, public sector work is hard, but you know it can be, and so if you find that beacon of light, you instantly give. It's a gift, really. Is that the humanness never leaves.
No. And you are your brand.
Whatever thank you very much.
You are your brand.
Thank you. And I think that is, I have become the person I always knew I was. I think
that's wonderful.
Yeah, that I always knew I was that person, but layers in life, like all of us. So it's not a change. I think you deepen into yourself, and I don't know if that's the experience for you, Sandra.
Yes, definitely. I think I've been all around, and I've come back to the one person that is stable, and that's me. The person that doesn't go away is you. And I think it's just finding you, and you're always there anyway. You never went anywhere. You just needed to work it out. You know, who am I? What am I about? And what is it that I want to bring here? And what is it that I want to leave even when I go? And that's the journey I've been on. And I am so glad that we met today.
Oh, me
and that
too.
we have rekindled this relationship. And definitely, we need to stay in touch. And I thank you so much for the interview today.
Well, thank you for asking me. And I want to wish you the best of luck, because anyone who comes to see you, I think they're just going to go with a little bit of your light. And if that is not a gift, folks, you know, I have met Sandra in person. This is our first face-to-face virtually after 10 years. She hasn't changed. Your sincerity, your genuineness, all of those things, and wanting to uplift people, that has never gone. So
God is good.
Yeah, and
Thank you for the changes.
Yeah,
and it's great that, you know what, and I say to anybody out there, you know, when you're working with people, don't lose touch. I know one of my friends says to me, I have one of the issues of like staying in touch with people forever. If I'm working with them, I never really disconnect. And I think, the people in life that you meet along the journey are important to connect with, and to keep connecting if you can. And whenever I meet someone, or I see someone on LinkedIn, or I see them on Facebook, I'm like, and we used to work together, I'm like, hi. Because that's what it's about.
Yeah, and if people don't respond, you can sometimes feel like you take it personally, but actually, you know, it's okay. And what I would say is like a relationship is like a flower. It does require a bit of nurturing, and sometimes you can be a bit light touch. It might be the cactus that needs a bit of light touch, and sometimes some things need a bit more watering, but they will come into fruition, and I think they will add something to your life. Because if anything in my journey, I've realized I've got to where I am because of relationships. I might like to think like I did it all on my own, but I had a good teacher, then someone who took on to mentor, and I've tried to replicate that. So with the students and people, you know, that is my giving back as I'm going along, and people have remembered me for work because of relationships. Yes, I put flyers out and did all of those other things early stage in my business, but if people recommended me, it's because they had a good experience. And so that was the professional part of it, and just enjoying what you do, you know.
Keep enjoying it.
Yeah, but I would say
Keep
to people
working.
just say to people briefly, like, if you've got your life ambition, hold on to that dream. And if it means that you
Yes.
just have to keep sort of like working before you let go of everything, that's okay too. So all of those things that you hear that you have to let go and do this and jump into the fire, you do what works for you. You know, if you've got a mortgage, all the manifesting in the world is not going to pay your rent and you're going to be stressed. So just, you know, talk to Sandra. She'll help you. And then Sandra
Well,
can have
I
a
could
massage again.
try, but you know, there's a lot of stuff around which the advice you've given is perfect. And I think there is that thing of just self-realization, awareness of who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, what your situation is.
Yeah.
And working with all of the different things that we have to challenge ourselves around, and working out what's good for you. And I think that's then the perfect answer for you. Maybe not for everyone else, but for you.
And get it out of your head, in the sense of, like, people have these dreams, and just try something. You might want to have like a shop one day. Just go volunteer in a shop to see what it's really like. You know, just make some of those small things that make it tangible. Then you'll get an idea, and actually that helps you grow in confidence. When it was all in my head, I had very little confidence. But when I started volunteering and turning up and stuff like that, I thought actually that's what gave me the confidence that helped me to then learn more, my skill set. And you'll get to a place where you like yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, you know, we can say that we love ourselves and like ourselves, and we do, but I think you get to a point where you really enjoy who you are. And that's really that's the liberation for me that leadership does. And that didn't come from someone else. That came from, like, I know